Hi, everyone. Welcome. We've been having some audio issues. We are so glad that you are here. Thank you so much. Hopefully we'll get everything straightened out. I'm Becca. I am one of the co-directors of Neighbors on Call. Susan Blunt is here and waving, and hopefully her audio will start working, or her mic will start working. Thank you for joining us to find out how our newly elected North Carolina Democratic Party leaders are going to build a robust year-round grassroots program. That is why we're all here, hundreds of us. We are so grateful to Anderson Clayton, Jonah Garson, Dr. Kimberly Hardy, and Elijah King for taking time out of their very busy transition time to speak to us tonight, to Senator Jay Chowdhury for making the introductions, and to Janice Robinson, who's going to moderate our conversation tonight.
And we're also honored to be joined by all of you tonight, elected officials, party leaders, and activists doing the hard work on the ground. And many thanks to the folks who helped us pull this session together tonight. As Becca said, I'm Susan Blunt, one of the directors of Neighbors on Call, and you've already heard, and you will hear some more from Becca Sirkin, who is my co-director and one of the founders of Neighbors on Call. You'll hear more from her in a few minutes. Neighbors on Call, or as we sometimes say, NOC, is an all-volunteer organization that helps elect Democrats to the North Carolina State Legislature. In the last election cycle, we knocked about 25,000 doors in key races in Alamance and Wake counties. We're here tonight united by our shared principles that the state Democratic Party can change the course of lives in North Carolina for the better, that the ground game is crucial for winning elections, and that leading our party is a true labor of love. We're very grateful to our former chair, Dr. Bobby Richardson, and Vice Chair Senator Floyd McKissick, Commissioner Matt Hughes, and Shannon Hour for all their hard work as leaders of our party over the past few years and throughout their careers. We thank you very much. Becca, back to you.
So as Susan said, we all share the same values, the same goal to elect Democrats. So tonight is about looking ahead to hear how our new leaders will approach this goal. Specifically, we are very interested to hear about their plans for grassroots organizing and what they need from all of us on the ground. Just so you know what to expect tonight, in a moment, we're going to close the chat function, and it's going to be closed during the moderated discussion so that it's easier to focus on the conversation. And when we get to the Q&A at the end, we'll reopen the chat and you can put your questions there at that time. And Tracy will be pulling questions out and sharing them with Janice, who will ask our panel. So I'm very pleased right now to pass the mic to Senator Jay Chowdhury. He is the Senate Democratic Whip in the state legislature. He is currently serving his fourth term representing District 15 in Wake County. Senator Chowdhury, thank you so much for being here and welcome.
Thank you, Susan. Thank you, Becca. Thanks to the entire Neighbors on Call team. This is incredible to see this kind of attendance 2 months into 2023. I too also just want to thank Dr. Bobby Richardson and Floyd McKissick for their service also to the North Carolina Democratic Party. Before I introduce this amazing team that we have, I just want to say a couple of things about the last election cycle and just to underscore again the importance of door knocking. One, to obviously just say thank you to the Neighbors on Call and everyone on this call for the doors that you all knocked and what we were able to accomplish. I will tell you that if is any takeaway from the 2022 election cycle, it's that number one, that door knocking and the door knocking that Neighbors on Call clearly worked. Where Neighbors on Call focused, we won those races. That's why we were able to return Senator Sidney Batch to the North Carolina State Senate. That's why we were able to win our state Senate seat in Mary Wills Bodie in Northern Wake County and Granville County. And that's why we were also able to win with Terrence Everett in Wake County as well. And secondly, just to put things in perspective, when you get candidates and elected officials like that in the General Assembly, they bring a high degree of political aptitude, leadership. That's an amazing return on investment that can continue to help build our team that can set the stage to take back the majority in the future. And so when I think about amazing teams, I think about this new, incredible, bold, diverse North Carolina Democratic Party that we are going to hear from. I am incredibly optimistic with the energy that they're bringing with them to help all of us move forward and take our state back. And let me say that before I introduce Anderson, the next couple of years, certainly with the General Assembly, we're going to see a lot of bad bills, but I want to just emphasize that we got to continue to keep our eyes on the prize, focused on winning 2024 in this coming decade. And I have all the confidence in the world that we're going to move forward with Neighbors on Call and this incredible North Carolina Democratic Party team. So without further delay, we will be hearing from four incredible members from the North Carolina Democratic Party leadership. First, Anderson Clayton, who really needs no introduction. She is the newly elected chair of the North Carolina Democratic Party. She served as a student body president at App State, and then served as a rural organizer for both Kamala Harris and Elizabeth Warren in Iowa, a rural field director in Kentucky, McGrath, and brings her experience, as we all know, as chair of the Person County Democratic Party, where she had an amazing success. Also serves as chair of the Association of County Chairs. We will also hear from Jonah Garson, who was the first vice chair of the North Carolina Democratic Party. He has served as a fundraiser, a policy staffer, a political organizer. He has been a field coordinator for dozens and dozens of legislative candidates, also executive committee member of the Chapel Hill Carborough ACP, focused on protection when he was in civic engagement, also chair of the Orange County Democratic Party. You can just get a sense of the incredible skill set this team brings to our state, and we're so incredibly grateful. Dr. Kimberly Hardy, who comes from my hometown of Fayetteville in Cumberland County, is a tenured professor of social work at Fayetteville State University, was an incredible candidate for House District 43, which I remember back in 2020 when she ran for the State House in Cumberland County, a two-time graduate of the HBCU, an active member of the Sigma Gamma Rho sorority, second vice president of the Democratic Women of North Carolina, PAC chair for Lillian's List, a board member for the New North Carolina Project, and president of the North Carolina Women of Cumberland County. I don't know if there's anything left to say about you, Dr. Hardy. And last, but not least, Elijah King, who was a third vice chair of the North Carolina Democratic Party, has served as the Durham Democratic Party representative to the county executive committee, first vice chair of the 4th Congressional District, a member of the state executive committee, a communications professional who focuses on government relations and digital organizing, has done work with the Democratic Congressional Committee in the 2022 midterm. And so again, I mean, the background and the skill set is just phenomenal. And our moderator will be none other than Janice Robinson, who is the program director of Red Wine and Blue. And just under her leadership, in little over a year, there have been more than 20,000 women in North Carolina that have joined the Red Wine and Blue network. It's an incredibly important network, as we need to continue to hear from working mothers about the importance of public education, healthcare, and other things. I say that as a parent of 2 kids myself, but she is also the precinct chair and member of the African American Caucus of the Mecklenburg County Democratic Party. And so if you all ever want to see a vision of hope and have hope for the next election cycle in this decade, I present to you this incredible team that's moderated by Janice Robinson. Take it away, Janice.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Jay. I appreciate that. And good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for this opportunity. And I just want to thank you to our fearless leaders. We appreciate you all stepping up to serve, and we're going to have a great discussion together tonight. And so just a couple of things. If you don't know the answer to something, don't worry about it. We know you've only been in office in a little under 2 weeks, so we don't expect you to know everything that's going on right now. But we're just going to have a good discussion together. I'll address some questions to each of you, but of course, if you want to toss that question to another one of your team members, feel free to do that. I am going to ask you to try to be concise as possible. We know how politicians are, and you all are politicians, that we can tend to get a little long-winded. So I'll ask you to try to be as concise as possible, because we have a lot of questions that we want to get to and have a good discussion. I'll forewarn you, I may gently nudge you to wrap it up so we can get to another question if we need to. So before we start, I want to give each of you an opportunity, and I'll ask you to take maybe just 2 minutes to say hello and to tell us anything that you want to share with us tonight. And let's see, Anderson, you want to go first?
Sure. I was going to say, I'll hop in if that's okay, Janice. I just want to say, first and foremost, thank you so much to Neighbors on Call for putting this together. If people wanted to understand what the energy has been and the uplift of this party has been since these folks got elected, you can say that there's 700 people that signed up on a weekday night, right, to be able to hear us talk about this stuff. So I think that in and of itself expresses the energy and the revitalization that we're bringing to the state party. My name is Anderson Clayton. I have the honor and privilege to serve you all as chair of the Democratic Party. I use she, her pronouns, and I am really excited to serve with these amazing officers on this board today. Thank you, Senator Choudhury, for everything that you said for the introductions for these folks. They are phenomenal workers in their communities and people that really do just want to be workhorses for the state party and for you all on the ground this cycle. And that's something that I feel like we really need to have and invest in as just leaders. And so the number one thing I want to say is just thank you. Time is precious, and COVID has taught us, if anything, that you could be spending your time doing anything else tonight, but you're spending it right here trying to figure out and solve some of the greatest challenges that we have as Democrats going forward. And I think that just goes to show the dire and the necessity that we're in for this next election cycle. And so I just want to tell you all, like, I feel that. I feel that pressure. I feel that weight. I feel the fork in the road that we're at about whether or not we head to being Florida or whether or not we head to being Georgia, honestly, next. And I want to make sure that people on this call understand that the gravity of where North Carolina sits right now in political history, and that we understand that too. And we are making the plan forward in order to be able to determine how this state processes that and honestly wins elections in 2024 to give folks in RGA the help they need right now and the resources and reinforcements they need in order to get legislation across this state. And so I just want to say thank you all so much for this.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Chairwoman Clayton. Jono, you want to go next?
Yeah, I'm going to start off with a nerdy quote, which is by a Polish poet, Czesław Miłosz, who says, "Things unpronounced tend towards non-existence." Over the past few years, Neighbors on Call, under the leadership of Becca and Susan, has been the space where people come together and talk about better political democratic imaginaries for this state that we love. This is the space. This is the space where, coming out of 2020, we had a conversation with leaders of Wisconsin and with New Georgia Project. This is the space where we had Chair Barnes hosted just a few weeks ago to talk about the success in reforming that Michigan party, right? That's Neighbors on Call, and that's the power of grassroots leadership. We need spaces like this. We need rooms like this. There is one group that has put together these rooms consistently for the past few years. It is Neighbors on Call. So that's the first thing I wanted to say. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I want to express gratitude 10 days into my amazing team led by Chair Anderson Clayton, who is such a leader on a team of leaders. I could not be more proud of all the work that we've put in over the past 10 days and all the work that you all have put in to make this moment possible. We have a real opportunity at reform. Over the next couple months, we have some big Hail Mary passes to make as a party to get us into the shape we need to be. You'll hear more about that later. We have to begin by making sure we properly resource the volunteer infrastructure that is the backbone of this party. That means precinct organizing. That means our county party infrastructure. That means, and shout out to Dr. Kimberly Hardy, you'll hear more about this later, our auxiliary organizations that exist across the county structure. That's number one. And y'all, we need resources just to do that. But that's not where we want to stop. You all know, you all heard the Michigan conversation. You all heard Chair Lavora Barnes. You know how much money it takes to then put on top of that a professional organizing infrastructure. This team is all committed to that. We have to double our budget to make it happen. So I'm going to stop running my mouth right now. I'm going to say that quote again, because again, I'm a nerd. Things unpronounced tend towards non-existence. This team is excited to get to work, to take the things that we've been collectively pronouncing into existence and make them so. Love y'all. So excited to be here tonight.
Jonah, thank you so much, so much. Dr. Hardy.
It is so hard to follow Jonah with all his energy. It's really hard to do, but I will give it my best shot. Hi, everybody. I am so delighted to be here. First of all, I'm excited to be here because it's a room full of people who are so like-minded, and in such turbulent political spaces that we've had to endure for the last few years nationally and in the state. It can sometimes feel like this is a lost cause, but I have never believed that, and neither have any of you in this room. And so it's always good to be together with people who are completely passionate and committed to doing this work. Because I'm probably the biggest nerd. I'm a professor. No, you don't get much nerdier than that. And so I'm going to do a quote too. Fayetteville State University has an outstanding motto. It's res non verba, deeds, not words. And the organization, Neighbors on Call, like they embody that completely, but so does this new leadership team that you all have put in place. And so we are very excited to start leading in the way that we promised you when we were running for these offices, switching from campaign mode to leadership mode so that we can do what's most necessary, which is getting voters out to the polls. But you can't do that if you're not engaging with voters on a consistent basis. We have for too long, writ large, nationally engaged voters from one election cycle to the next. That is a completely insufficient way to really engage our neighbors. We have to be Democrats to our neighbors every day. So we're really looking forward to that by working very hard with the precinct organizing, the county party chairs, and with the AOs that I'll talk more about later, but super excited to be here with you guys tonight.
Thank you, Dr. Hardy. Elijah, last but not least.
Well, the fun part about being the third vice chair is that you have to try to find talking points. And your part is the shortest usually. But thank you so much, Neighbors on Call, for hosting this amazing event. And I want to say thank you for welcoming change, new ideas, and welcoming new energy, because that is what it will take going into the battle. And yes, I said battle of 2024. In the last 10 days since I've been in this position, I've visited Alamance, Durham, Nash, Johnston, and I think I've got Alamance in there too. And they have said they have been the most optimistic and fired up than ever before. And so we need to use this wave of energy while going to precinct organizing, volunteering, canvassing, phone banking, and talking to our neighbors, because that is what it will take to get these municipal elections where we need them to be and push our folks across the line. Push Josh Stein over the line in 2024. Bring our amazing and diverse slate of judges back to the bench to finish a job well done, and get Joe Biden reelected. And so I'm fired up. I'm excited to speak with you all, and I know you guys are excited to put us on the hot seat. So thank you so much.
We're trying not to make it too hot, but let's get started. So Anderson, I'll toss the first one to you. So why focus on the grassroots? Now, we know that you all campaigned on a message of aggressive grassroots organizing, and you all are organizers, experienced organizers yourselves. But why is this such a priority? And give us about, answer that in about two minutes or so, or less.
Yeah, I mean, I think that all of us on this call know it best, but year-round organizing is the way that we win elections. And it's really showing up in communities day after day. Like Dr. Hardy said, we need to be Democrats to our neighbors every single day. And I love that. That's gonna be one of the framing that we use for going forward. Now that you've said that on this call, it's like a little nugget that we can take. And I think that one of the ways that I have really seen and felt across rural North Carolina in particular right now, right? We need to show people that we care about them and that they're not just votes to us, that it's actually, we care about the future of your communities. And I want to be able to make sure that the Democratic Party is the party of people that have visions for these communities 50 years down the road from now. We're not just putting a candidate on the ballot this year. We are putting the candidate on the ballot this year that can speak to the needs of those districts. And that also can speak to the opportunity that we have to really put someone in these communities that understands them more so than what they have right now. And I really do believe that part of year-round organizing for the state party should mean being in these counties a place where people can go and say, I need help the Democratic Party is going to be the party that helps me. And I know that I can count on them for those resources. And that's really what we've done across rural North Carolina, and a lot of our county parties and a lot of our urban parties too have become places where mutual aid existed in the pandemic and in this last cycle, because they know that that was a need that needed filling in our communities. And so making sure that we're treating people not just as if they're votes. And I think that that's something that the Democratic Party has done time after time again. We need to show people that we actually care about them and want to see their communities thrive. So year-round organizing is the dream. It is the goal. It is everything this party should ever be doing. So thank you, Janice, for that. And feel free, any other officers, if you've got things to add to that.
Okay, all righty, okay. Let's see, let me toss it to Jonah. So we're gonna start with the big picture and kind of go top down. So Jonah, what's your vision for what a fully funded year-round permanent organizing program would look like? I mean, is there a model for this that you're kind of using as a template?
Yeah, frankly, Michigan, right? You know, listen, I've gone back now and listened to the Neighbors on Call sort of North Carolina Democratic political futures conversations a few times over. That means Wisconsin and Georgia and Michigan. I re-listened to Chair Lavora Barnes's Michigan presentation about how they bootstrapped a professional organizing structure, year-round organizing structure, laid it on top of their volunteer structure in Michigan, and really had a pretty amazing turnaround in a couple years. So I think Michigan is a great model. There are lessons to learn from Wisconsin. There are lessons to learn from Georgia. But frankly, also, you know, no two states are alike. North Carolina is a very particular state. It's a very heterogeneous state, as this whole board of organizers knows well from having organized in every corner of it. So I think that going ahead, what we are going to try to build is, first of all, we're going to shore up a volunteer infrastructure that is, again, always going to be this party's backbone. And then we are going to, once we tank up in the next 2 months, and by tanking up, I mean, again, doubling our operating budget. We do not have the resources to do any of this right now. And I want to be very direct with y'all. Y'all are going to hear the same sort of directness from Anderson, from Kimberly, from the rest of the board. We are going to then overlay regional organizing directors a la Michigan in some form or fashion. That overlay might look different depending what region you're in. And those regional organizers will, in some senses, have as clients the volunteer infrastructure. All the different counties within a region are going to have different needs. And in so many ways, those regional organizers, their job is going to be to help resource and support that work. Now, I don't want to get too far ahead. There's a lot that we need to talk about as a team. Chair Clayton has a strong vision for what this needs to look like. And my role, and the role my notes say I need to play again and again, and I will play again going forward, is to just put in a little plug and a bug in all of y'all's ears right now and just say, none of this is going to be able to happen without you.
You know, that's so important, and you're right, because you know, you talk about starting out with shoring up the volunteer base. How do you envision the program interfacing with like some of the 501c3, C4 grassroots organizations?
Very carefully and always within the bounds of the law, Janice Robinson. No, I think, you know, one thing that any organization working for positive social change with aligned values in the state needs to do, especially an organization that is actively trying to reform itself, is to have a very, very good sense of who's doing what, which is to say a good power mapping of our civil society in North Carolina. We have whole segments of our civil society infrastructure in this state that have been keeping the lights on when it comes to electorate expansion, by which I mean voter registration, right? That is largely, there in many different respects, the party has said, well, you know, civil society is much better at doing electorate expansion work than we are. Oh, by the way, it's also very expensive per capita to bring someone who's not participating in the life and community of our democracy in. So we're not gonna make those investments, right? In order for us to move forward as a party and develop our competencies as a party, we need to be taking cues from civil society organizations. y'all, you can vote changed the way I think about voter registration forever. If you don't know You Can Vote, look up You Can Vote, right? We need to be taking lessons, and they need to know what we're doing, because we're turning the ship around in some ways. We're moving in different ways. So as we are allowed to communicate within the bounds of what we're allowed to communicate and when, we need to be sharing and developing bonds of friendship that allow dialogue as we're able. Janice, I hope that answers the question.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Sounds very good. Dr. Hardy, what strategies do you envision or will you all employ to ensure those areas of the state with low voter turnout, for example, rural communities, minority communities, that those areas are fortified within this plan that you all are planning to put together?
Well, so one of the things I want to echo from Jonah is that these things do take money. And so when I was a candidate for the House, I hated having to ask for money, but then one day someone said money equals messaging, and I was like, that changed everything about the way I saw it. And so it's going to take funding on some level. We really need to make sure that we have money for like materials and training and organizing and things of this nature. There's a great volunteer infrastructure that we can partner with. We can, work with our C3, C4 peers, just like Jonah said, but there's a point at which we need to have financial resources that help us put these things into place. It's also really important to understand what the issues are. We have 100 different counties, and all of those counties look different from each other as well as within them. There are parts of Cumberland where I am that are very different from the one side of the river to the other. And so it's very important that we understand what it is that's happening on the ground so that we can attend to those issues. That requires relational, ongoing models of voter engagement. And so if we don't know what the local issues are, then our messaging comes from on high, right? And so that's not going to respond to everyone. Like there's a need in, so I'm use Cumberland County again, Grays Creek. Chemours, has so badly poisoned the water there, and that even all these years later, folks are still having to drink bottled water. I mean, that's a very local issue. And so we can talk about environmental concerns, but there's a need to make sure that we tether the issues to the people that we're asking to vote. Otherwise, they feel a disconnection between the candidate and the issues that the candidate is running on and their day-to-day lived realities. And so in many ways, that's going to be critically important. Another strategy, though, that sort of speaks to that is having local candidates, recruiting them to run for local and county and state level races, congressional races. Like we need to find those natural leaders who may not even see themselves that way and get them prepared and trained up so that they can be on the ballot. They know their neighbors, they know their communities and those issues. And it makes a lot of sense to really tap into that group so that we can start putting them in those elected seats as well. So there's all sorts of things. Canvassing is going to be critically important. We can do this all day, but those are some of the things that we're thinking about in terms of the strategic way to execute the plan.
Okay, thank you. So Elijah, let me bring you in here for a moment. So tell us a little bit about what would the organizers actually do? Like, would they be focusing primarily on statewide races, supporting counties, precincts, training? Kind of what would the organizers that you all hire and put on staff, what would they actually be doing?
Well, thank you for that question, Janice. Well, I want you to know that organizers, and I'm going to define organizers for you for a second. Organizers are a robust team of community members. They are our neighbors. They are our best messengers, and they are the lifeblood of this party. They are the lifeblood of this party because they can get our plane, trains, and automobiles out faster than the four of us can. So here's the fun part about our organizers. This amazing force would actually organize rather than just mobilize, once every election cycle to tell you to go vote. They would make those relationships to know those communities rather than just saying go vote. There are key differences between organizing and mobilizing strategies. And as I'm sure you know, and leaning into this organizing and developing those vital relationships will get us and give us the upper hand when mobilizing voters and asking for their vote. We have to earn it. And so building those relationships and building that trust, quite frankly, is what's going to push us across the finish line. And so our organizers, and I'm going to say it again, we're going to focus our organizers on not just mobilizing, but actually organizing and building those relationships. And so organizers this time around will be on the ground in communities, rural, urban, and suburban alike, and will do many things like recruiting, like Dr. Kimberly Hardy said, training and engaging volunteers, bringing in the young Dems and the teen Dems and the college Dems in a meaningful and creative way, not just canvassing, not just phone banking, but doing those events, building those ways that work for different communities, supporting our county operations and our congressional district operations, helping establish and manage events. So when our folks come into town, those are the folks we call. And showing up in the community as much as possible, from everything from school board meetings to our town halls with our congressional members to our open mic events and bars. Just making sure we are seen, we are heard, and people can ask us questions and come to us anytime they need. And so I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, it does. So with those, with the organizers that you hire, are you envisioning them kind of being from the community and so forth, that where they live, or how do you, where will you get these organizers from?
Yes, and so all politics is local, Janice, and I'm sure you know that, and I'm sure everyone has heard that. All politics, and the best messenger is your neighbor. The best person to tell you to go vote is your neighbor. The best person that knows who you are is your neighbor. Therefore, these organizers need to be from the communities that they're working in, because that's how we get the best results.
Exactly. As someone who's organizing, I totally agree.
Exactly.
And to add on to that, I want to give a shout out. The NCDP did a good job this last year, making sure that we had like some of the regionals who are from the state of North Carolina. And so ensuring that we bring some of those folks back, right, who maybe have lost their jobs, honestly, because we didn't have the financial situation to keep some of those folks on after this last cycle, and ensuring that we can continue the year-round organizing that they were at one point trying to start, right, before the coordinated campaign came in and everything else last cycle, because those were people that were representative of Eastern North Carolina and Western North Carolina and the Piedmont and everywhere in between. And so just to add to that, and Jonah, I know you might want to say something too.
To get very brass tacks about what it could look like let's wave a magic wand and say that we're having the additional $150,000 a month that we would need to bring this program about. I imagine that a regional organizer in Eastern North Carolina, let's say Northeast North Carolina, down east, they would begin by helping individual counties that had unorganized precincts coming out of the precinct organizing cycle, get those precincts organized, not just organized, but then with an action plan for the rest of the year. Then those organizers would be working with county parties to help with local candidate recruitment, and with the state party helping with local candidate recruitment going into the 2023 local election cycle. And they would be doing issue-based deep canvassing, engaging in open conversations with folks about the issues important to them in their places. Could be water safety concerns around a Cape Fear River if you're in Southeast North Carolina, or whatever else, right? And then go into what Elijah was talking about, mobilization closer to a local elections cycle, where the state party has made targeted recruitment and targeted resourcing of local races a major focus, knowing that it's more than just about bench building. It is about creating democratic communities, functioning, strong democratic communities, where you have local candidates closest to the ground, helping drive up ballot outcomes for the year ahead. That's just 2023, y'all. And I've given you a potpourri of different things those organizers could be doing.
Very good, very good. So thinking about this, and I know you mentioned, Jonah, about $150,000 extra money for the month, per month to do some of this. So what strategies, and either one of you all can answer this question, what strategies would you employ to raise the funds to support the program? We all know raising money is a challenge, but kind of what strategies are you starting to think about as far as how you would raise this money? Anybody can answer.
Yeah, and I want to hand it over. We all take our money raising responsibilities in this moment very, very, very seriously. Anderson has been working round the clock for the past 10 days, doing interviews and also raising money around this new sort of communication strategy that we have. So I would turn things over first and foremost to Chair Clayton, who has over the past 10 days moved some mountains for the party.
Well, I would not
Chair
have been able to
Clayton,
do
let's hear
that.
from you.
I would say would not have been
Yeah.
able to do that without my wonderful vice chairs and people that have really stepped up to the plate to honestly fundraise. And I think that's one thing that we have really tried to capitalize on is the fact that everyone does know my age right now. I am 25 years old. And honestly, that has become one of the best things for the news outlets and news media. We are actually going to be going on MSNBC next week. So y'all will see us live on national television. And so we're going to make the case to grassroots donors there too, across the state and across the country, right? That North Carolina is worth investing in. And that's going to be a really exciting opportunity for us. We've also been establishing donor relationships. One of the biggest things, honestly, brass tacks with everybody right here because of my age. People are hesitant to give money to the state party, especially if they've done it before and in the past, because I think that a lot of donors have not necessarily seen the results that they needed to out of the state party to trust where their money's going this cycle. And so one of my biggest priorities over the last 2 weeks has really been trying to meet with donors, especially large donors to the state party in the past, and formulate those relationships, let them get to know me better. And also my vice chairs have done the same thing in cultivating their own networks and Rolodexing themselves with people who trust us as organizers in our own respective communities and know the work and the value that we're going to bring to this in this next cycle and how hard we're going to work. These officers came in and said, and told the staff in the Goodwin House, they said, we want to be boots on the ground with you. We want to help you. We want to support you. We want to add capacity here in every single way that we can, because we know right now it's like 3 chipmunks in a trench coat running Goodwin House, which is also why we are saying we do need that extra $150,000 a month to be able to ramp up our operations and ensuring that we have those organizers on the ground. But a lot of this is going to come from reestablishing donor relationships, ensuring that people can trust us with their money again, and let people know that this is not a 2-year rebuild of the state party. This is a 10-year long game that we're talking about with early money, boots on the ground investment that's going to win us back at General Assembly and make us have a seat at the table for redistricting in 2030, because we know that right now we are sitting on the precipice of North Carolina becoming a GOP stronghold for the next 20 years versus the next 10, depending on what we do this next cycle.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you so much for that, guys. It's about almost 8:45. We want to open it up to some questions from the audience. Team, technical team, you guys are going to be pulling some questions from the audience. If you have some folks, you can drop those in the chat, and we'll pull those in. But let me start with this one. When it comes to precinct organizing and action, what are some of the best ideas you've seen? And I'll throw that to Elijah.
So when it comes to precinct organizing, what are the best ideas I've seen? Is that the question?
Yes. What are some of the best ideas you've seen when it comes to precinct organizing?
Well, as a precinct vice chair, 1, 2, as a district vice, with working with Anderson and Jonah and the 6 counties and connecting with these counties, it's really going to be on everybody to make these calls, all your neighbors, write these notes. I've been writing notes for Durham. I've been offered to write notes for Durham to get folks out there, because we need to surpass the 5 people stronghold to organize a precinct. We need to rope in as many people as we can to tell them this is an option, to tell them that we are here and that we aren't just organizing a week or 5 weeks before the election, but we are doing it now. And so those are some of the best ideas. It's just the creativity of it. Bake sales.
Kind of year-round engagement, like you guys have been talking about.
I was actually
okay.
Jonah, we had, and I'm going to shout out Sarah O'Brien on this call, because if anybody got the new precinct packets that we just sent out this last week, Sarah O'Brien, who's the co-director of County to County, helped us redo that and actually put some really great little things in there. And I want to let Jonah talk a little bit more about that, because those were his ideas, honestly. So.
Well,
all right,
yeah,
Jonah,
and I will
Jonah,
just say. Go
Hey,
ahead,
Jonah,
Chance.
let me say this. I'm going to give you, let me give you, do that in about a minute and a half, because we got some questions from the chat that we'll make sure we get those, as many of those to you guys as possible too.
Sarah O'Brien's a champ. She is the co-executive director of the County to County campaign. Everyone follow the County to County campaign. It is housed within Orange County Dems, but it builds partnerships across the state. It has done good work in the absence of some weaknesses of the state Democratic Party, and it is a partner in our work. So shout out there. Brass tacks about good ideas around precinct organizing. Fill your poll greeting shifts or your GOTV last day canvassing shifts at your first precinct meeting. Convert the energy into action. Get people on the hook then. That's as brass tacks as it gets.
Mm-hmm.
You'll find the form in your packet to do so.
All righty. Excellent. Excellent. Thank you. Thank you. So let me read some of these. Okay, we got some great questions coming through. The first one says, this is a little bit long, so I want their voices to be heard, It says, as an African-American voter in North Carolina, I am very concerned about the outreach in the BIPOC communities and engaging people of color in general to vote and to be involved themselves in organizing. There hasn't been a well-organized effort here that would answer the question for us, which is, what have you done for me lately? We cannot just show up in Black and brown churches a few weeks before an election and expect us to vote for Democrats. I have seen serious weakness in this regard in the North Carolina Democratic Party, and caucuses in our county are an example of that. Where can we go from here with regard to voters of color? Who would like to take that one?
I would.
Okay.
So I read that one as it was in there. I actually put a heart on it and it put the beginning of a response there. So this, I could not agree with this more. I am very over the 1 day out of the GOTV effort for Souls to the Polls, which typically doesn't even result in the kind of effort that it used to be in our community. There used to be a time where we went and we got folks and we brought them to the polling site, right? So it was after churches or in communities. As a member of, as you can see, one of the Divine Nine organizations, I've been pretty disappointed with how we have not mobilized very well around this effort, but that is something that I am absolutely committed to embarking on with this team. So one of the issues is we have these auxiliary organizations and caucuses, and they are doing amazing work, but we have not, I believe that the NCDP in the past has not really put a lot of effort and energy into strengthening them. They do not have a presence across all 100 counties, and they need to, because the issues that they attend to are things that cross county boundaries. And so we have to make sure that we're listening to them first and foremost to find out what the actual issues are. Then from within them, we can try to find natural leaders, again, who might become the very candidates that we're looking for to champion those issues. But then we have to strengthen the infrastructure there to ensure that they have what they need in order to go out and do good effort, make a good effort with GOTV. So we have to strengthen them. We have to make sure that there's a presence for them across the state. And then I would very much like to meet with those folks and say, what are your deliverables for how you're going to get your group, be it the Labor Caucus, be it the AAPI Caucus, whatever the caucuses and AOs are, including the AFAM Caucus, what is your plan for getting out the vote for, the voters that are following your constituency, so Black and brown voters here, and how can the party help you? So this is an under-resourced framework that we already have in place, and we need to strengthen it to make sure it does more than one church visit a month, which I think is patronizing to say the least. So we're committed to changing that.
Very good, very good. Let's see, I got 3 questions about young voters. So let me throw this one out. How do we attract young Dems in a red county? How do we plan to work with young people to make sure we are reaching young college first-time voters? So who wants to take that one?
I'll take it because I'm still in college, so I probably can speak to this better than us all.
Okay.
Anderson.
How are we going to get those young people, Elijah?
So the fact of the matter is, Dr. Hardy said, we have to invest in our affiliated organizations. The fact of the matter is, I ran on investing in teen Dems, college Dems, and young Dems. They don't just need, they matter. They need our money, they need our time, they need our resources, and I'm here to advocate for those. 1, 2. The fact of the matter is, we have to work on the ground We can't just go to colleges a week before election expecting young people to go vote. Okay, we have to do the work with community organizers. We have to work with county chairs to make events so they can go to them, to attract them to the party, and then that will attract them to the polls. The fact of the matter is we also need younger volunteers and organizers to mobilize those folks. It's the relational aspect. It is the relational aspect. When you can relate to a organizer, when you can relate to a poll worker, you're more bound to follow through. And so having those younger volunteers and investing in those AOs are how we're going to invest in young people, I think.
Mm-hmm. Okay, excellent. Thank you. I'm going to try and get two quick more questions in. So I'm going to throw these out, and we're going to be wrapping up at 8:55 to get ready to close. So let me throw these out real quick and see if we can get these two in, at least two more. What are you going to do to involve unaffiliated voters, the largest block of voters in North Carolina? Chair Clayton, would you like to take that one? Brief and make it brief.
Oh, sorry, Janice, could you repeat that? I'm honestly watching the chat box overload with questions right now. What I will tell everybody on here, I know that everybody's got questions, and that's the other thing, is that we want to answer them. So what I'm going to request Neighbors on Call do is maybe send us a copy of this chat afterwards so that we can also like address these in full too, because I feel like the 1 to 2 minutes that we're going to get just doesn't do it justice, honestly, for the concerns that people have on the ground right now. So I just want to take a note to say that. But Janice, if you could repeat the question, I'm so sorry.
Sure. Just what are you going to do to involve unaffiliated voters, which is the largest block of voters in North Carolina?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of unaffiliated voters are honestly young people. And I think that one of the things that we've got to do is make sure that we have a college campus program next year. I tell people, like, the Democrats gave us the UNC system for a reason. Jim Hunt and Terry Sanford and the folks that actually invested and said that, you know, the way out of poverty is through getting a good education at the end of the day. And that's where Democrats at a foundational level come into this party from. And I think that we've got to make sure that we have a robust campus organizing program next year in order to ensure that HBCU turnout is not the lowest it's ever been since 2010, again, like it was this last cycle. And so we have a huge responsibility to get out with young folks, not just on college campuses as universities, but also community colleges, making sure that we are active and that the county parties understand the opportunity that's there on community colleges to engage with young folks. I tell people all the time, young people want to get involved. They've got to be able to see the pipeline and lower the barrier to entry for this party. It's something that I'm working right now with Sarah Muir, who's the Teen Dems president, Alvaro Reyes, who's the College Dems president, and Nathaniel Jacobs, who is the president of the Young Democrats of North Carolina right now, to ensure that we are actually rebuilding and revitalizing our auxiliary arms for the Young Dems. And I'm really excited because Dr. Hardy is also really passionate about working on those too, to ensure that we have a really robust program, like I said, because that's what it's going to take.
Okay, thank you so much. Yes, so we're just right at time. Go ahead, real brief, 30 seconds, Jonah.
Very briefly, unaffiliated voters, that's a big pie of voters, and it's all sorts of voters. And so, you know, what we are doing, any of our organizing, and this is something that we've all addressed as organizers ourselves on this board, we think in terms of voters for Democrats. That is folks who are ideologically aligned or could be ideologically aligned. And we never limit our efforts just to registered Dems. And that's just a good background note. I just want everyone to know that. But different pools of unaffiliated folks need different strategies for engagement and mobilization.
Very good, very good. Becca and Susan, it's 8:55. Do you want to, there's one question about how would people with limited resources, how can they donate monthly? Anybody?
You should ask that one.
Say that real quick. You got that one? Yes. So real quickly, Chair Clayton, a question is, how can people with limited resources donate monthly, since we're not in the 150,000 range?
That's okay. I'll be honest with y'all. We had 100 new monthly donors sign up to give to the state party this month. And that is an awesome opportunity and just an awesome milestone, honestly, for the new executive officers to be able to say that we've been able to do just in this first month alone. And we got elected halfway through the month. So I'm like, who knows what we could have done if it happened on February 1st. But really just give whatever you can. I tell people that all the time, knowing that we have your support is the best thing that you can do. So if it's $5, $10, $15, that's going to help go towards making sure that we understand, you know, the next month, here's how much money we actually have coming into the state party that we can rely on to continuously build our budget. Because that's one of the most important things that we can do right now. So give what you can. You don't have to be in the $150,000 range whatsoever, but we really appreciate folks that maybe want to do that at any time. I'd love to talk to you about it more.
And they can do that through the website. Through the website, I set up a monthly donation.
They
Okay.
can.
All
I
right.
think
Very
that
good.
Nick Batman is probably dropping that in the chat box as we speak. Hopefully, the donate link is popping up in there every once in a while. If everybody on this call tonight gave $25, we would almost reach that. We'd be halfway to that goal of 150,000 that we need to be coming in every other month. So, thank you all so much. For the
All right.
opportunity.
Becca, I'm tossing it to you.
Okay, thank you so much, Janice. And thank you, Anderson, Jonah, Kimberly, Elijah. Really just can't thank you enough for sharing your vision and your inspiration with us. Senator Chowdhury, thanks for kicking us off earlier. And thank you to our co-sponsors. We co-sponsored with 3 other organizations, Work for Democracy, Carolina Forward, and All In for NC. Thank you to all of you. And to everyone else who's here on the call, we thank you for being so motivated to come out on a weeknight, hundreds of us, to find out what we can do. And we are asking you to take some next steps. First, please keep an eye out for an email from Neighbors on Call tomorrow. It's going to have all the links that I'm about to mention, including that contribution link, but other things too. And 2, we will send you the link to the recording of the event, which will be posted on the website. And we ask you to please share it widely with other Democrats. Spread the word about what our new leaders are doing. Number 3, as soon as possible, please find out when and where your precinct is meeting, because that is the building block of our party. And they start this weekend from the 25th until March 11th. It takes 5 people to make quorum. So you and recruit 4 neighbors and just go. So many of them are starting this weekend. You're going to show up, let your precinct leaders know that you are ready for work. And you could also become a precinct leader yourself. So please do it. If you're not sure which precinct you're in, we will send you that link tomorrow to look it up. It's on the State Board of Elections website, and I believe it's going to be in the chat in a second. And you can contact your county party, look at your county party website, or if you can't find that, contact your county party chair through the NCDP website. We'll put that in the email tomorrow, so you can find out when and where you are going to be meeting. And if you can't attend, email your precinct chair and just let them know that you're at their service, because the meeting is only the beginning of what we all need our precincts to do. So you will get all of that in an email tomorrow. And I just want to say thank you again to all of our new officers for all that you're doing. Susan, I'll pass it to you for final words.
Yes, and thanks one more time to our new NCDP leaders. It's very exciting. And to Janice Robinson, great job on moderating, and Senator Jay Chowdhury. What a great team we had tonight, and to all of our NOC team behind the scenes. Let's turn North Carolina blue tonight. Thank you, everybody. It was great fun.
Thanks y'all so much. And thank you, Neighbors on Call.
Yes.
And also, I meant it about the chat box. I would love to get all of this just so that we can answer things for folks. And then we might send the answers back to y'all so you can get it back out to this list, if that's okay.
Yes,
Great.
I will send it to you personally.
Thank you so much, y'all.
That's wonderful that you want to do that. Thank you so much.
People deserve answers, and that's part of, like, donors want to know where their money's going. Like, I want y'all to understand we hear that, and we know that in this state party right now. So thank y'all so much for being willing to give your grassroots dollars, and also just posting this. I appreciate it.
Thanks. Good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody. Bye.